Hi, Karthik. I think we can start.
Yep, sure, Rajana. Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all the participants. People from Romania and India and Australia, from every location, other locations as well, people have joined. Thank you for that. Um, First, let me introduce myself. My name is Karthik Chetu. I'm part of Softvision, representing QE community, part of digital engineering group. And I have 14 and a half years of experience, professional experience in the testing industry. So I've worked in Australia, US, India, Singapore, across multiple domains, telecom, financial services, healthcare, insurance, and across domains. So today I'm gonna give a glimpse about the current challenges in testing, the customer challenges in testing, and the solutions recommendations on shift left, the TestOps solutions. Thank you. Let's go ahead. And this is the agenda I would like to cover in this session. So in the upcoming slides, I would be covering the detailed current challenges in the testing industry and the top IT letdowns in the last decade and recent the IT glitches and failures we have faced just because of IT failures. Just want to highlight a few IT issues, technical issues, glitches due to testing defect leakage, and the strategic recommendations on testing approach, and the solution architecture, and a high-level framework, and the detailed solution benefits. And I have a snapshot of the list of the testing accelerators, just for recommendations. So this is the agenda, and I'm happy to take up questions at the end, and whatever fitting the window. And I'm happy to answer all the questions. And if not, I'm happy to take up the questions, and I'll be responding to each and every one with a detailed response. Let's move ahead. And first slide, so the current challenges in testing. So I want to highlight the challenges, the real challenges. So I have done a research, and based on my real-time experience, testing experience, these are the challenges, the top challenges, listed out in the testing industry, in major companies and any smaller companies, like middle-tier companies. And so I would list out a few contributors in this. So they are failing to adopt automation, all right? So automation is a key for any industry, especially testing, and they are failing to adopt automation. And strategic planning, so they are lacking in preparing a strategic plan, testing plan, especially in the agile industry. And they're considering agile as a process instead of a framework, right? Like they say agile is easy, we can easily implement, we can adopt as a process. And so in the journey, workflow journey, we have prerequisites, we have definition of done and definition of ready. So that they're not meeting the criteria, right? So they're directly deploying the code into production, and just by meeting the testing and with the half cooked testing. And the cost of failure is too high if the defects are found later in the cycle, right? So sometimes there are chances, okay, I want to find defects in the production. Okay, I'm happy to fix on fail. And we don't have a stable environment due to agile, due to the platform compatibility. So we have issues within the application systems. The things are not stable, so frequently breaking, we have been facing regression issues. And no backward compatibility, right? We go faster to market and keep things changing, and agile keeps improving, right? But backward compatibility is missing. So and we have a huge impact on the real customers, who are already in the live production. And the delivery pressure, right? Just because of the pressure, so we have to just keep delivering the stories and requirements, right? less coverage, right? Less coverage. So there are testing scenarios which are missing in the early phases, right? Directly, it is coming at a very later phase, and so that's because of we are getting more production incidents at the end, and need to invest in the skilled resources, especially automation space. We have to invest much. So, these are and one more thing, and the less UX CX coverage. So people don't apply on UX user experience, customer experience, which leads to very bad experience, customer experience. So we are finding defects, more defects in that space as well. So these are the challenges. I want to just, there are more challenges, and these are the very top contributors, main candidates for the current challenges. So I've been facing in the Australian market, like these challenges might be common in other locations as well, and for other vendors, and that might be common, that might be missing, and there might be more challenges as well. So this, just want to point it out, the key challenges which I have come across in the recent Australian market. I will move to the next slide. And so I want to share the top IT letdowns. So in the recent the global market. So I want to point it out, just the top six. There is a British Airways IT failure in 2019, and the flights got more than 100 flights got cancelled. Right, like there is a French air traffic control outage. It hits the flight in 2019. There is a cloud bleed. So all the data, customer data, sensitive data got leaked in 2017. And in the hospital industry, there was a IT failure in 2018. And in Facebook and the major giant, WhatsApp and Instagram, so they got a technical issue in 2019. So people, they can't upload the photos, like images, videos, feeds in the app or in the laptop native applications. And there was a Heathrow Airport, London, like the disruption because of the IT glitch. And there were more, I would say, in UK, the O2 major telecom company, they lost data services in 2018. And there were Air India forced to divert Boeing flights. The current running flight, because of the technical issue, they rerouted to a different location. And Apple forced to pull iOS 8 update in 2014. And there were so many issues. Toyota Price recalled due to software glitch, and there was a one price like a price glitch in the Amazon, the selling all during the Christmas time, all the gift items and all the items. There was a price mismatch. It dropped to one price. I feel. And the Starbucks, there was a software bug in 2015, and the RBS payments goes missing, and the UK airspace closed due to technical failures, and emergency numbers in 911 in US. I think it was not available for 6 hours, especially like whenever they're getting calls, the IT, they couldn't answer due to emergency. People, they lost lives, and then like they couldn't save the people. So I want to point it out. These are the IT letdowns, major IT glitches, software failures, technical issues, infrastructure issues, like functional failures, due to and even in Australia recently, we had bushfire attacks, and we had a major IT outage across industry, and due to storm and unplanned outages, and especially right during this pandemic. So these are very important, right? Like we can't afford these outages on networks, especially in the hospitals. Whenever the nurse, they're taking treatments, they can't lose the data, right? Like so I want to point it out why it is happening, right? Like because of insufficient testing, like ineffective testing, and defects are finding in the production system, which is causing real customer problems. So I want to point it out a few IT letdowns. I'll move to the next slide. And so I want to share the strategic recommendations on the testing approach, right? Like, and building a framework, whenever we focus on automation, we need to build a framework on an API driven, like right now the market is fully API driven, like model that people are transforming, and then like all digitization, like a transformation, like they're going with agile. and all API driven JSON responses, like they're not UI driven, right? Like so if your automation framework, if your testing is based on UI, and it leads to more maintenance, and you might end up in spending more time, more cost in maintenance and rework. So your framework should be an API 100% API based framework. And the automation regression is very, very critical, right? Like so it should be 100% automated without compromise. And you have to increase the frequency of the regression cycles. Like whenever in the lower environment, you have to keep running it. Whenever there is a new code, whenever there is a hot fixes in the environment, you have to keep running. We have to automate the 100% regression without manual intervention. So that is the key for the testing, to avoid production leakages. And the shift left, I want to focus the primary thing, the shift left, right? Like scriptless automation. So right now in the industry, we are spending more time in investing and then spending time, like especially writing thousands and thousands of code. We have so many tools available which have already created inbuilt frameworks, keywords. It's just a single click. Whenever you scan the application, it will uh, spy all the application properties, your XPath, and everything, UI, index, locations, everything. So it's a scriptless. Like within 2 hours, you can learn the language, right? Like so that is made easy. So we have so many tools, recommendations. I will just give a high level snippet in the upcoming slide. And use stubs, service virtualization, to remove dependencies as a part of shift left. So you have to introduce stubs, service virtualization. Whenever the other systems are not available, your testing should continue with the virtual stubs. And what you have to do is you have to take from the lower environment 80 stubs a payload and mock up simulate this. Then you do the testing so that you can identify defects at a very, very early stages, so that the next cycle and the integration testing and the other pre-production, like other upcoming cycles, would be smoother, and you are delivering a quality code in the production. And just mimic your testing, create a production-like environment, right? Like have a lab. So mimic your responses in a non-prod environment, have a similar kind of experience to production, so that you do a testing before you make live to the customers, so that you find customer experience related defects, you find user experience related defects, you can fix it before even customer get reported as production incidents. And focus more on customer experience, user experience, right? Whenever I get a device or something, you send notification to customers. So whether a SMS notification or email notification, give updates. Where is your device? Is it on the way? Like whether it is ready for pickup? Like is it in stock? Is it not in stock? And is it going to be delayed? My internet, the technician appointment is going to come late. And do I need to reschedule? I got an urgent work. Can I reschedule it? So that kind of experience, it should be very, very friendly, so that I want to test all the possible combinations in a lower environment, and cover more exception handling in the early phases. Your integration testing environment will not be the place to cover all the testing combinations, right? You'll not have, it would be like hundreds and hundreds of combinations. It is not at all possible, right? So ideally, your lower environment, your application testing, system testing, unit testing, it is the right place to test all those exception conditions with stubs simulators. And validate your payload. Find out your good payload, and keep it as a reference whenever there is a new change, whenever you get a new change in the upcoming story, upcoming sprint. So keep validating, okay, the good payload and then the bad payload, right? You find defects, stop the deployment, fix it, and before even you deploy into next releases and the next cycles. Better have a logging mechanism and traceability, right? So whenever your transaction is going an end-to-end journey, the customer journey, have a logging mechanism, right? I have 10 to 20 systems end-to-end, and whenever logging till at the end, so I want to see my transaction, where it goes. I want to see the logs, where my order number, where my transaction data goes at a micro level. So I want to see a logging mechanism, but centralized. I don't want to log into 20 systems. So better have a tracking mechanism. Use Splunk and any other traceability monitoring tools to have It is easy to triage your defects. It is easy to fix the defects, and it is going to save more time on your triage, especially in the agile. So we are running sprints every 3 weeks. We are running sprints in a very shorter cycles. It is going to help for sure. And the shakeout and the sanities, right? Like a frequent shakeouts and sanity, it is going to help. And every day, like so we're going to shut down the server overnight and then weekend to for the cost savings. And whenever there is an unplanned outage because of bad weather, the data center might go down, right? Have your sanity and health checks, frequent health checks, like established that, like so that so you are safe whenever I come in the morning. Hey guys, okay, my key critical flows are working fine, so I can start my day work. Otherwise, if I face any issue, I will not start my execution, right? I'll put on hold. Otherwise, I'll be end up in burning so much data. I'll be wasting my effort. I'll be it's a waste. It's a rework again, right? Like so, have your health check, have your sanity um, in a robust way, and code drops and alignment, right? Like we have multiple vendors and different systems, different platforms. So we need a common commitment, common alignment across. So I have an end-to-end customer journey. I want to drop the code, but you also drop the code at the same time, and so make sure there is no impact for my journey. And if we work in silos, so we're going to face issues like so always have an end-to-end code drop alignment and a streamlined delivery approach, and it is recommended. And toggle on, toggle off, right? Like start discussing about your toggle on, toggle off approach at the early stages during your planning level, at a very early application testing, coding, unit testing level. Whenever you take decisions, risk-based decisions. I've done 60% of testing, but I don't have any blockers. I'm happy to deploy the code, but with an untested code, but I'm happy because it's severity 3 and 4 issues. It's very minor. I'm happy to take the code to production. It's not going to impact the customers. So in that case, you can use the toggle on, toggle off features, and sometimes you can have dormancy, right? I've tested, but others are not ready, like upstreams and downstreams are not ready, but I'm ready, and but I can drop the code, but with the dormancy. Whenever others are ready, I can just invoke, I can make my code active. So these are some of the recommendations as a part of shift left and other strategic as in the current tense, which will resolve the earlier issues. um, I'm happy to take up any questions at the end. And this is the solution architecture and the framework I want to cover in brief. Um, so shift left, right? Like so we have our development, and we have our CI/CD, the release model, and build, deployment, and integration testing, and deployment. Your technical verification testing, business verification testing. Before that, user acceptance testing, then production, like a technical go live and a business go live. So when you launch to the customer, it's launch. So when you do a testing in the integration test phase, in as I highlighted in the slide, it is very late, right? As I highlighted, your testing focus should go early. Whenever you start the planning, whenever you are in the discovery phase, whenever you are in the elaboration phase, whenever you're in the solution design phase, your tester should be a part of these discussions, right? Like so they can be a part of it. So they can contribute, ask questions, review the solution, review the architecture, and they can give recommendations on the testing plan. They can start the planning early, and they can work on the data. They can work on the environment dependencies, like what is the risk, what is our deployment plan, and what all service virtualization stuff we can develop at very early stages. So those are the test planning we can start early, right? So this is completely you're changing your current traditional testing model and to the shift left. So this is the shift left framework. And I would like to add, right, in the traditional agile world, so we have two teams. They are the major contributors. So we have engineering team and we have product team, right? So engineering team, They take care of quality of code and performance metrics and your infrastructure, and it is environment primarily robustness and build and test automation, DevOps monitoring. So this is a part of engineering team, like, and product team on the other side. So they take care of quality of the product, business metrics. They wear a customer lens, and they are the product owners, capability owners, and requirement owners, solution owners, your release management, and your success criteria, and the launch, the benefits, the analytics support after production. So they are like a products team. So our quality assurance traditional way is gone now, right? So we are embedded in engineering and products and support everywhere. So we are quality engineering, right? As a Softvision in Australian market, we approach from quality engineering perspective with the current challenges, whatever I highlighted. So always we approach our customers on the Australian market by highlighting the customer challenges and the solutions which catering and with to those challenges, right? Like so we approach in that fashion. So quality engineering, like so we are across everywhere, right? And so sometimes team work in silos, right? Engineering, okay, this is my area, right? Okay, so I am not bothered about quality of the product. I'm not bothered about the customer. So I care about environment. I care about build. I care about CI/CD code merge. But this is too much for me. I don't want to interfere in other areas, right? So so people work in silos, and there will be a lot of gaps on alignment and like coming to the common goal, commitment, vision. So quality engineering, like we play a major role. So especially right as a part of shift left. So we will be involved in every phase as a part of engineering. So development, production, DevOps, right? Like we will be part of all the phases. Whenever uh, they develop a code, we can do a buddy testing, right? Like find the code, fix it before even coming, review the results, right? Give feedback on the test plan, give feedback on the user stories, start writing your test cases, and start creating a data prep, and give a walkthrough to the product owners, and get the agreement, and discuss with the solution design team. Think about the gap, highlight the gap at the very early phases. So instead of discussing at a very later end, start discussing, start everything like at the early phases. And that's why I have represented quality engineering everywhere, right? The design, prototype, research, and your DevOps and your production, even after hypercare, right? Whenever there are hot fixes, people come to the quality engineering team. Hey guys, have you faced this issue in yeah when testing? And have you faced it? Is it have you missed it? And what is the bug category? And what is the early detectable phase? So we do all kind of analysis, and we give recommendations. What is the corrective measures? What is the preventive actions? And then we give all the data. So we are spread across everywhere, right? So this is a very high level solution architecture and framework as a part of the shift left strategy. And I will highlight the benefits as a part of shift left, right? Like as even highlighted, I'll be detailing the benefits in the upcoming slides as well. And so we can reduce the cost and the efficiency, and your quality. The code quality is very, very important, right? Like, and if you get a more number of production incidents, and we cannot sell the product. Like it is going to be a challenge to sell the product, right? And we cannot lose the market. So now in this competitive world, so we cannot lose the market. We have to establish, and we have to prove in the market. So quality engineering is and shift left, especially fitting into the model, it's very, very critical. Yeah, I'll just move on to other slides. And the solution benefits, I want to talk about it. All right, I have a slide which will give an idea about automation accelerators, and I want to talk about the solution benefits for the shift left solutions. Right, we can find defects early, and which will ensure a product quality and a better code quality, right? As a part of Shift Left initiative, I'm preparing a plan. I'm involved in the plan as a quality engineering team. I will be involved in all the phases and to make the test plan robust, depth, and breadth. I will cover everything in my test coverage to have a better coverage so that I test everything, and till we reach production, we will have a better traceability, and so that I can make my decision. Like I can suggest, I can recommend to the release management, hey guys, this is what test, this is the coverage, and this is the main set, this is a subset. From unit testing to integration testing and application testing, these are the scenarios we have covered, and this is the results. Like you take the decision. So this is the quality, these are the open defects, and so that is what early bug detection is gonna save so much effort and money, and which will result in a better code quality. Saving time and resources, it's linked, right? Like it will end up in saving your time and your resources. So if you have a bug, it will result in retests, multiple retests, and you have to rework again, do a replanning, right? It will result in failures, and the production failures. You have to repeat your testing, right? You have to do again a planning, like the retros and gap analysis, and your sprint planning meetings, and so much, so much. So it's again a rework, and you can't deliver a better quality, right? Like good coverage, as I said, the good coverage across all the test phases. So you need to have a better traceability across all the testing phases, and across PVT, BVT, your technical verification testing, your shakeout, your sanity, your system testing, unit testing, your code review, application testing, component level testing, and your integration testing, interfaces testing, everything. Like you need to have a coverage, better coverage, and then traceability. And your delivery of software, it is going to be expedited. Like already agile left, it is fast to go to market, right? Like, but your quality is not compromised, and more time for testers to test. So whenever in a normal traditional way, like you get 2 weeks, you get a very limited time. As we all work, and we do everyday deployments as per the new CI/CD pipeline, like your Jenkins and the Bamboo, your new deployment strategy. We get daily deployments, overnight window. Sometimes we take hot fixes, so we get very time to test. So your early planning, your shift left is going to save so much time for testers. You get sufficient window to test, to cover, and then like to give a better quality. And customer satisfaction, right? Like and you share your results, evidences to the product owners, to the capability owners, and to the business to do a peer review. Hey, guys, I've done the testing. This is the notification to the customer. This is a mock-up response. This is the results, screenshot, evidences in any form, right? Like in the email, documentation, in Jira, like your Confluence, your wiki pages, and you can use showcases as well, right? Like I want to show the real customer journey in my non-prod environment as an end-to-end. Guys, like just share your feedback in an ad hoc way, like do a buddy review with your product owner, get a feedback so that we can deliver great customer satisfaction and experience in this. And product stability and performance in real world scenarios, right? Whenever you find defects early, if you improve on automation, your product stability is going to be very, very good, right? Like so it will not be broken, and you're reporting defects at very early stages so that minimal defects in the upcoming environment, in the later cycles, and in production it is going to be very, very minimal defects. No blockers, no showstoppers, no burning issues, right? It is going to be a low severity 3-4 issues which you can deal in the production, right? Whenever the shortened automation time, and when compared to manual effort, automation is recommended. More automation, 100% automation for regression recommended. If you have time, like progression is also recommended, and it is going to save time, and shorten automation time, and your end-to-end journey. If you execute a test case in 4 hours, your automation is going to save in 1 hour, 30 minutes, right? Like you can do more load testing. You can increase the volumes during your testing window, right? You can cover non-functional testing as well. You can completely automate that, everything. And this is business friendly and rapid scripting. As I said, scriptless automation, it is going to save more time, right? You no need to train the resources. And day one, a fresher, a layman, they can start without domain knowledge and without automation knowledge. We have tools like Catalan and Ginger and Tosca, they have already built their own frameworks. So they can come and learn like within a day, like they can jump into the scripting immediately, right? With minimal knowledge transition. I want to highlight the accelerators, the framework, which yeah, which is covered in the slide. And so just want to highlight this slide. So we have been using this for multiple proposals across Australian market, and just want to cover that. So whatever the challenges I have highlighted in the earlier slides, so we have solutions for everything. Like we are catering to our customers in the Australian market. And I'm not going to go through all the automation tools, and we have done a detailed comparative study and for our internal QE community proposals, and we have a great team here under a QE community, so everyone contributed that, and we have just prepared a slide combined all the tools and accelerators. So in this we have covered test management tool. Everything is integrated. So you have Jira, you have Confluence, and you have your ALM and the before quality center, and you have your Tricentis Q-test, and you have your test automation accelerator. You have Catalan Studio. So Catalan Studio, I want to highlight it. It's a free source, freeware. And the scriptless automation, it's easy to learn, and no thousands and thousands of lines of coding, and your automation maintenance is going to be very, very easy. And your XPath and your UI changes, easily you can just do a spy and then capture and then change the script. And your Ginger is a framework which will connect everything. And your Tricentis Tosca, again, it's a keyword-driven framework. And it supports web, and it supports mobile, and it supports all the platforms. And UiPath, Cucumber, and your performance testing tools like JMeter and Load UI. And if I want to do a performance testing, load testing, stress and volume testing, if I want to break the system, it exceeds the number of users on the situation. So I do the performance testing with the stubs. I can do individual systems stubs instead, even in an instead of an integrated environment. Even in this, I can apply my shift left. I can use my application testing environment, use stubs, use any other simulators to apply loads using these tools. And the API testing. And so now complete the world is changing to APIs. So I can use Postman, and I can just do a handshake. I can do a connectivity test very early, right? No need to wait till the integration testing is ready, till the applications are ready. I can do a connectivity. I can do an early shakeout, and everything I can do early. I can do a Postman trigger. I can mimic a system. All I need is an endpoint. All I need is a token authentication to do a shakeout, handshake between the systems, and your JMeter, SOAP UI, and database testing. So and security. And recently in the Australian market, and we have been facing so many ransomware attacks in the recent days. I think we had recent multiple attacks in toll systems, logistics, and so many people affected, and they didn't get the logistics delivery on time. So we had multiple security attacks in the Australian market recently. So security testing is also a key, right? So your shift left and is applicable everywhere, like functional and non-functional everywhere. And So I'm happy to take up any questions related to accelerators and any other detailed tools comparison and recommendations. I'm happy. So we have done, as a part of QE community, we have done lots of research, and we have multiple recommendations tools by integrating all these frameworks. And I'm happy to take and I'm happy to engage after the call, like through questions or through any proof of concepts, any other detailed presentation on this. And yeah, and I'm going to open up for questions. Rosina, how much time we have for questions?
Sorry, I had issues with audio. We have time, but I don't see any questions in the chat or in the Q&A. We can wait a couple of minutes.
Sure. I could see 28 participants. I know it's Australia, it's late evening. I think people are sleepy. Any questions? I'm happy to take it up. Anything on the earlier slides, recommendations, solutions.
There is one question in the chat. It says, what is the future of scriptless automation?
Yep. So scriptless automation, one of the example, Rosina, I would like to highlight some of the accelerators. We have a tool called Catalan Studio. Normally in traditional UFT and other tools in the earlier stages. So we do a object spy, capture the properties of the application, and we store all those properties in as a recorded repository. Then we run the automation. Then it is gonna consume time. We write hundreds and hundreds of lines. So now everything is touch and click. When you consider Catalan Studio, when you consider Tosca, it's very, very minimal intervention. All your logical operations, clicking on a button, selecting a radio button, selecting a value from a drop list, you're closing a browser, you're generating a PDF, reading a PDF, validating a PDF, validating a payload. Everything is keyword driven, and everything is already inbuilt. And so you have tools, Catalan Studio, Ginger, and recently, like so we have multiple tools which will support scriptless automation. And so this is going to be the future, right? Like in Australian market, we have done so many proposals covering the scriptless automation, and we got a great response from the customers. If anybody is interested, I'm happy to take up for a brief follow-up sessions offline with the help of QE community, just by highlighting the solutions for the scriptless.
We have another one. You talked about simulating production environment using STATEGIC. How do you simulate real-time simulation of spikes in third-party API calls?
Yep. So that's really a good question, right? Like, so whenever we get, whenever we build a solution, so we get our Swagger specifications, we get the payload, we get the payload and your transaction structure, header, footer, and how it's going to be your JSON structure, right? Like, so you have end-to-end spec and agreement signed off even before it comes to testing during your build and development. And what we do is till it is built and ready, so we take those samples of the payload from the signed off Swagger and Spec, where we create stubs. So we have multiple tools, Lisa, like they provide service virtualization. We use Lisa services, and we create stubs by mocking up the response. And so what we do is, I have the upstream available. I don't have the downstream available, but I can mock up. It is going to act like my downstream, right? It is a replica of my system. So I'm going to trigger a response request. It is going to hit the stops, and it is going to pop up a response for me. And sometimes, if it needs dynamic data changes, sometimes I can use my SQL query to update the database on a real time, and I'm going to get those data. So sometimes a customer order a mobile, 10 SIM cards in the production. They get some 10 SIM cards. They get 10 mobiles. They order online, but they get the SIM card numbers, 10 different SIM card numbers for the 10 items, right? In the stubs, we can run our query. We can build our framework accordingly to run it dynamically. Like instead of static, we can have the stubs updated to mimic the production systems as well, with a very, very minimal manual intervention. So that exactly we can do the real production testing in the lower environment. That is going to save more cost, and that is going to give an opportunity to find defects at the very, very early stages. That I'm giving some samples. So yeah, this is going to be the approach. So we're going to mimic the exact payload, the signed off from the Swagger specs, and we are going to mock up and create a payload. And sometimes we can run queries to update the database, which will cater the real-time data. So to update the database so that your response will pick up the updated records, and then like it will go to the response. Then your test scenarios and your transaction flow journey will be with the updated records.
And we have one more. With the current software developments moving towards agile and faster delivery models, do you think the proposed shift-left approach has the same value in comparison to other traditional software development models?
Yep. Yep. That's really a great question. So traditional software development models, so they go phase by phase, right? And in the agile, like we work in shorter cycles. We go with the faster go to market. So now the customer, they want the value adds very quick, and right, like especially in the pandemic time, and so many changes happened, right? Like there are industries in the retail, and there is a food delivery business, and there are retail sector, and there is a parcel like a post office. So those fields, it got tremendous changes. So catering to the current industry trends and agile is really an important, and shift left, and it is not the same value. It is completely a different value, right? Like sometimes in the traditional way, you have a timeline. It's a timeline window. It's a waterfall, right? Like I do work on a specific time for my design, and I do a specific time on my planning. I do have a specific window on my testing, right? It is dependent on previous phases. But in the agile, I don't think so. We have a dependency. Obviously, definitely, agile, and the shift left in the agile and the traditional, it's not same based on my experience. It's completely different. And I'm happy to take up any questions in detail with the realistic examples I can provide. But it's not the same. Shift left in agile, it's completely different. But a traditional, there are always risk and dependencies. It is all interlinked. In the traditional waterfall model and the traditional software development model. Here, the faster go to market, right? Like in the traditional software, we work in the larger releases, like it's a 6 months delivery, and it's a 1 year delivery, and it's obviously different, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pranit
there is
raised the
there's
hand. Yeah.
there is one more. Having a framework more focused on API than UI driven, what will be the perfect balance between them? Will UI be more neglected in the long term?
Uh, I would just say UI should not be neglected, and because the customer experience, user experience is UI based, right? Like people, they work in this in the real store. When I go to the store, and when I pay the bill, when I get when I go to the bank, when I apply for the loan or something, if I sometimes the system, the agents, or the representative sitting in front of the system, they prefer UI, right? Like so API, it's all our testing based terminologies. For testing, for automation testing, for regression, it's always recommended API, 100% API from automation perspective. But from user acceptance testing perspective, UI is also a major contributor, so that you find defects, observations related to your UI, look and feel, so that so adaptability, whenever you go to the production, so users say, oh, okay, we missed this, this button should be there, and this is not visible, this button is small, and I don't like it, like that kind of the cosmetic observations, but that might lead to a bad customer experience and user experience. So that kind of balancing required, I would say. But testing automation perspective, um, in the agile world, especially the faster go-to-market, frequent deployments, and for 100% automation, API is more effective than UI driven. And UI is also playing a major role, but from a different lens. From UAT perspective, we have to obviously test it from look and feel as well. But from automation perspective, API driven is really critical, um, because the reason is the maintenance. Whenever there is a change in your object properties, your XPath, your frame, your index, right? So I trust the APIs. So, and there is my script is gonna not gonna stop even if there is a UI change because of API robustness. So it is going to help in automation, agile, faster way from engineering perspective. But UI, we are not completely neglecting, but UI is also playing a major role from UAT lens. So we need to balance that, Rosina.
Perfect, thank you. We have no more questions.
Okay, cool. We got 9 more minutes. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes for any other questions.
We have one more. Using scriptless automation tools, are there any risks you think we should be especially aware of, risks in the product?
Uh, so scriptless automation is replacing your effort in writing the code. It's not replacing your the the functional flow. Whatever you do manually, it is replacing. It is the same, right? So only thing is you're saving time in creating your framework, your reusable functions. And so now everything, the Catalan Studio, Ginger, Tosca, they have framework available. So it's all open source, free source. So you can take the vanilla version. They have everything there. As I previously mentioned, all your actions are reusable actions. So I have a page. So in the page, what all objects, what all operations I can do. It's a button I can click. There is a text box I can enter, and there is a checkbox I need to check, and there is a radio button I need to click on and off. I need to close the browser, minimize the browser, and especially in mobile testing, we do multiple gadgets, tabs, and mobile cell phones, and multiple browsers. Sometimes I zoom a window, and the text recognition, image recognition, right? Like everything is already available. Your keywords are already available. So all you need to do is just reuse that with a very minimal intervention, catering to your specific applications. Okay, just the name of the browser, just the name of the button, which is again a easy the spying. And just by scanning the page, you capture all those objects and properties, everything, right? It's just a simple click, and your keywords are going to be ready. So just you need to drag and drop for your application. So that is a scriptless. So there is no change, and you are saving time. In the scripting part, in your scripting part, this is a kind of one-time activity. And whenever the changes in the UI in the upcoming releases, if there is an enhancement, so customer saying, I want a new button. So if there is a new change in the particular screen, it's again a click and scan. I will capture all the changes. It's going to do only the specific change on the particular code, particular line, and no need to do a scratch, right? It is just a component. So it's all reusable. So nothing is changing, only you're saving your effort in coding and your script development, and it is going to save time in your maintenance as well. So nothing is changing. Your test cases, your objective, your return on investment, everything is the same, right? Strategically, nothing is changing. You're covering all your test cases. You're covering all the validations. You're covering all the parameterization, your data combinations, everything you're rerunning, right? Your automation, manual intervention, you are invoking the application, you're invoking the APIs, everything is the same. Just your manual effort in your script development. That's the only change. No change in the quality, no change in the outcomes.
There's one more. How do you ensure code coverage, like line coverage, branch coverage, etc.?
Yep. So as the part of Shift Left initiative and your traceability covering, you need to monitor that. You need to measure that, and we have tools called SonarQube, which will trace your code coverage, your branching, your measurement. So how many lines of codes are validated when you do a code merge from your staging environment to a higher environment. So we have tools called the SonarQube, and we have multiple reporting tools in the Power BI. And you can integrate that, and then you can measure that, you can monitor that, and you can measure the quality, right? I have end-to-end systems, and whenever I do a code check-in, and after this code coverage, your unit testing, you can measure the outcomes of the unit testing. And again, similar way, when I measure the application testing coverage, I can measure similar way integration testing. When I measure everything in integrated fashion, I can take risk-based decisions, and whether I've covered 100%, and did I miss anything, and what is the risk, and can I fix it before it goes to production. So your monitoring solution, your reporting solution will help. We have tools available. One of the tool I said, it's on our cube. Similar to that, we have multiple tools available to measure the code coverage for the unit testing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we're all good. We can close here, and any questions, they can send it over to pw@softvision.com, and we will send them over to you.
Sure. And even other than SonarQube, we have Splunk as well. We have monitoring tools. We can monitor the transactions, right? Like so it gives some of the vendors, they use Splunk, so we can monitor the transactions logs and everything from the coverage perspective. How many transactions passed, failed, my end-to-end journey, how many transactions on a daily basis, on a monthly basis passed, failed. So that kind of coverage also I can take it from Splunk, other monitoring dashboards, and Rui, Dynatrace, and there are so many tools available. As I said, SonarQube is also one of the mostly used by big vendors, and so yeah, cool.
Perfect. Thank you, Karthik. Thank you for being a speaker today.
Thank you, Rosina. Thanks for your support for setting up and helping me. And I would like to thank the QE community, especially Ajish, Anoop from Softvision, for giving me an opportunity. I would like to thank Kirish, Abhi, Ajish, Anoop, everybody. I thank the QE community and everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night in Melbourne. Have a great day in other locations. We're starting the day.